Alright guys, for part 2 here I'm going to talk about restoration as far as paint. A couple of things I've done so far is I've removed the control panel completely off the machine, cleaned all the buttons. This joystick is still good, and I was contacted by one of our friends and he wants it, so I'm going to send it to him, but this one's trash. So I got the control panel completely cleaned up. The Lexan is garbage. As a matter of fact, hang on one second. I forgot, I was going to show it to you. It's got this one big burn there and a bunch of burns there. It's just trash. So I'm going to do a new Lexan piece, but control panel's in fantastic shape. The metal overlay is completely intact. No scrapes, cuts anywhere. It's flawless. So I made a mark here for the run button on each side. I'm going to drill the run button. And I'm not quite sure how many other buttons I want to put in here. Now, because this is an original CPO and the original metal control panel, I don't know if I want to hack it up too much, but let's say I wanted to put a select button right here, maybe a volume up and down right here, because I don't want to destroy the art, and an escape right here, something. Because it's going to be a multi-MK machine, I want to be able to control those various functions. And let's say sometime down the road, if I ever did want to convert this back to an actual dedicated Mortal Kombat machine, which I can do, because I'm going to be able, I still have the JAMA harness and everything, I can convert it all back at some point later. If I wanted to do that, I could just buy a new control panel overlay from Main Marquise or something and just lay it on here and cover up, it'll end up covering up all the holes I made. And you would never know. I'd need to make another piece of Lexan, of course, but you would never know those holes were there unless you actually lifted up the control panel and saw them from behind. So I might end up doing that. But overall, it doesn't need much help. What I'm going to talk about here for this part is the paint on the sides of the control panel. Now you'll remember, if you saw if you refer back to the first part, there's a big chunk of wood missing here. What I did was I filled this with wood putty, and I filled this corner down here with wood putty. That was all gone too. It sanded it all down nice and smooth. So instead of actually applying a decal on the side or a sticker, the midway on both sides is just phenomenal. There's not a scratch or scrape anywhere on the wording or the letters on both sides. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some masking tape. I'm just going to tape off. I'm going to take some masking tape and just tape off midway. Tape it off, along the Y and the R for registration or whatever it stands for. Tape this off completely and spray paint the side of the control panel. Now, that should make it look a lot better than the decal, but some of you are probably thinking, well, you're going to be able to see the outline of, when you pull the tape off, you're going to be able to see the paint, because it's going to end up being thicker. It's not going to be flush anymore. When you peel the tape off, you're going to be able to see the outline of the paint. Now, one way around that is, after you paint it, you're going to want to get yourself some clear coat. I prefer this brand right here. It's called General Purpose Gloss Crystal Clear by Rust-Oleum. You can get it at AutoZone. That's where I got it. But this stuff dries ridiculously fast, and there's a nice clean shine on it. But after you paint this, you're going to let it dry. Give it 5-10 minutes, depending on what type of spray paint you use. They usually dry pretty fast. After it dries, peel off your tape, and then take your clear coat and give it a nice coat of clear. What that'll do is that'll end up, you might still be able to see the outline, but when you spray the clear coat on there, it'll make everything the same level and thickness, and once it dries, you run your hand across it, you won't be able to feel where you taped off. That's the whole point of putting the clear on there. So it'll be nice and smooth. You won't be able to feel where you taped off. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to take this whole panel off of here and paint it out back and not here in the garage. I don't want the spray to go everywhere, and then when I pull the Mustang in here, I don't want it to fall back down on it. So I'm going to paint this out in the back, and then I'm also going to take off all the T-molding, which, by the way, I mentioned before that the T-molding needs to be replaced. It actually doesn't. I just assumed it did because it's an old machine. I didn't actually look at it that thoroughly, but it's actually in really great shape. I don't need to change out any part of the T-molding anywhere on the machine. It's all really great shape. So when I built that Mortal Kombat 3 machine from scratch, I ordered a bunch of red T-molding. And when I converted it back to a MAME cabinet, took all the red T-molding off and put blue T-molding on, and I was left with my original red T-molding. So I went down digging in the what's the word? Closet. Sorry, went down digging in the closet, and I came across the red T-molding from the right side of that cabinet when I made it in Mortal Kombat. So I don't need to end up ordering any T-molding, so it all works out pretty good. All right, so anyway, back to what I was saying. I'm going to take off all the T-molding and sand and paint this part that's black and the whole front piece and the other side that's black right here too. I'm going to do all that, and then I can bring it in the house. When I bring it in the house, I'm going to actually get the touch-up paint and do the touch-up paint on all the. So I can paint this black. I can paint this black. All these scuff marks here I can paint black. I don't want to sand it and mask it off because I can actually sand this to where it's nice and flat. And you want to mask off like way up here. Mask off this whole area. And then just paint right there. And then after you paint it, you can clear it. And it should look pretty good. It'll look better than being touched up. The problem is what you would have to do is you have to take your masking tape and tape off the entire area. You need to tape off the entire outline of wherever you want to paint. It pretty much would be like probably right here. All this whole area here would need to be taped off. And you'd have to sand and paint the entire area and then clear the entire area. That way it doesn't look, because if you paint just this portion here, you're going to end up with an obvious spot. You're going to be sitting back at this point and you're going to be able to see, oh, well, someone painted right there. So if you paint the entire area, it helps blend away the fact that something was touched up right there. But I'm not trying to make any money off this machine. I'm not trying to make it look professional, so I'll probably just get the touch-up brush out and touch up all the black spots. But there's nowhere on Raiden here, except for maybe right here, which I can paint black, which is fortunate for me. Right here, and everywhere else on the entire side, on this side, I can paint black. There's nowhere on this entire side, except for right here, where I'm going to have to fill in any type of color. So I can paint every spot that's screwed up black and end up with this side art being perfect on this side. This side is pretty much identically the same way. Nowhere on Raiden anywhere will I have to do any type of paint touch-up. Only thing I'll have to do is paint like right here, this part, that part, that part. All the spots here along the back. Right there. Right there. All the spots that need to be touched up just happen to be black. So, and then right here I can get away with probably painting that black right there, sorry. So I should be able to do some black touch-up on both sides and end up with two sides with really good side art. And then of course paint both control panel sides and the front. This control panel front piece here, you can see it's in good shape, except for some marks right here, which I can probably find some orange and touch those up, and then just get the touch-up brush out and fix that nick and that nick and that right there. These three marks right here are the only thing wrong with this front piece except for the little orange marks. So I'll get this all cleaned up and painted and restored, and then I'll get it inside. Today, my new joysticks and new buttons arrived, but I'm not going to need the new buttons because I was able to fully restore these. They cleaned up really good. I got the new joysticks. I'm going to get the Lexan probably cut tomorrow, get the whole control panel done. My iPack should be here tomorrow. I think I ordered a J-Pack, I'm not quite sure. So all that's going to be left once I get it all touched up and control panel wired up is to actually get a computer and a monitor, and we'll be in business. So stay tuned for part 3, which will have all the cabinet touch-ups done, paint and everything, and then we'll kind of go from there. So stay tuned.